Hello, everyone. I am Sarisa Richardson with the Wise Women's Business Center here in Syracuse, New York. I am so excited to be joined today with Anna Hill Taylor talking about 5 key steps for brand photography. And if you are new to the Wise Women's Business Center and you are new to Power Hour, welcome. Just some ground rules. If you are joining the Zoom, feel free to leave questions and comments in our chat box. Feel free to turn on your video if you'd like to see us and introduce yourself. And then if you're joining us live on Facebook, also please use that comment section give us some hearts and some love as well throughout the conversation. So without further ado, again, I'm Sarisa Richardson, Wise Women's Business Coach, where we are providing free one-on-one coaching for women business owners in the area. And why don't I, without further ado, introduce our phenomenal guest today, Anna Hill Taylor, who is a local photographer and does very well with brand photography as well. So welcome, Anna.
Yay! Okay, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited because I love Wise. I love the services that Wise provides, and I've been involved with you guys for such a long time, and you guys just keep doing new things and offering new services to us women entrepreneurs. So I'm so excited to be here and be able to give back for sure.
Well, thank you for joining us. And I'm excited to have your expertise. Honestly, brand photography as a business owner, especially with things being so visual these days, like with all the Instagrams and every single app that you can think of, there's always some photo involved, right? Yep. So I'm excited to get your professional take on brand photography and some of the key things that we should be thinking about as a business owner. Why don't we start, Anna, what would you say just in opening, what is your general take on brand photography?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, out there on Instagram and just online presence in general, there are a lot of photography, there's a lot of things that go on, but people will stop at an amazing shot. People will stop not only at a great shot, but like the colors being great and the message that comes with that picture will have people stop. So what is branding? What is brand photography? You need to think about who you are as a person, as an individual, and then also what your brand represents, because you are two, right? So that's basically it. So thinking about all of that is your branding, is you. I mean, you just put yourself out there and just make a difference.
I agree. And I feel like as a business owner, it's been really important, like for me personally, to make sure that my messaging has been consistent and on brand all the time. And that's right. Really difficult, but that's where brand photography in a professional branding session can help. So before we jump into the meat of our discussion today, why don't we allow the 2 ladies that are here with us on Zoom, just introduce yourself, quick blurb, your name and what your business, current business or business idea is. Well, I'll start with Eileen, since I know that name. It's a familiar one.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Eileen. How are you? Thanks for joining us today.
I am Eileen Collins, and my business is Admin on Call. I am your virtual office manager, and I provide executive level administrative assistance to my clients.
Awesome. And Eileen, do you have you ever had a photography branding session before?
Actually, I have not. I've had, well, I think I'll take that back. We did a photo shoot for the magazine, but I don't know if that qualifies for a branding session.
So this actually might be a good and relevant conversation for you as well. So I'm happy you were able to join today.
I'm very interested.
So let's shoot over to Kate. I saw a +1 over there. We'll give her a minute to settle.
This is for you. Here you go. Hi. I have a couple attendees with me. My name is Kate.
Hi.
Sure.
Can you have them started early about
I-
with brand photography?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
joining business meetings
Start
early.
'em young, right? Okay, I am a marketing and communication specialist with Cooperative Federal.
Oh,
Company here in
awesome.
Syracuse. So, of course, this popped up on our Instagram feed, and we're looking to expand our outreach and incorporate things like lunchtime webinars. I love the Power Hour idea, so I thought I'd pop in and
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Kate and Kate plus 1 or 2 or 3. It's very realistic. So I'm happy to see that you have your little ones joining us as well. It's never too early to learn about being a woman in business, or just an entrepreneur in general. So let's get into the meat of our discussion. All right, Anna. So one thing in terms of messaging, right? When I started with my brand photography, right, to launch my business, I always like to. So here, let's back up. So the title of this talk is called 5 Things You Should Know, right, about branding. So for all of you watching, we will be talking about 5 tips, right? So Anna and I have talked and we've narrowed it down to what we think are like the 5 key things you should know in terms of brand photography. And the first one is audience. That goes towards your messaging, right? So thinking about who your audience is, like who does your brand target? So digging deep into your business plan, right? Remembering your target market. So who is that target audience, and how can you create scenes that resonate with that audience? So Anna, let's talk a little bit about that. So as a photographer, like what is that, like what sort of tips and tricks would you provide in that area? Do you see that as being an important component of brand photography?
Definitely, because you have to know what kind of pictures you are going to take that will speak to that audience. So, but first, even before that, knowing your personal values, and really, and it might be like, yeah, I know my values, but really, when you ask yourself, what are my values, you might stop a little bit and kind of question yourself. But so knowing what your values are personally, what you believe in, and why you have this business is going to help you narrow down and know who your audience is and plan your session, because that is so important. Like I will say that is actually like number one, just value, like know who you are first, who your brand is, and then from there just like narrow down who your audience is and all things like that, because then you will know for sure.
Yeah.
So for you, for example, Sarisa, you do great in photography and branding. For example, like all your colors, right? Your colors and the things you post like about, your sustainability. So you post about camping, you post about, like animals and stuff like that. So that all goes with your values and your brand. So you are living it. So it's really important to do that, to know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you said, so there was so much meat in what you just said right now. So the one is having personal values and knowing how your personal values align with your brand, right?
Yep.
Living your brand through your personal values, right?
Yep.
And then when it comes to figuring out like capturing these moments in like a still photo, if you're going to pay money for a really nice photographer like Anna Hill Taylor, plan your session. So think about scenes that relate with your audience. So one thing that I really like to do, for my own brand, which I think hopefully helps my photographers when I hire them, is I like to think about like conversations that I'm having with my customers. So customers, not only do they want to know like what I'm doing personally all day, but they also want to know like, what is this thing called sustainability? What does a sustainable lifestyle look like and feel like? So I like to provide in my photographs scenes that give examples that will like serve as like a conversation filler for my audience. So I think I agree with you there. Planning is key, right, Anna? Like So when you think about creating scenes, you have to actually think about that in advance of your session.
For sure.
So what about staging? So when you have an idea for a scene and you pick out a location for your brand photography, do you have staging advice and things that we should be thinking about?
Yes, for sure. So, okay, so for me right now, the tips that I would like to offer you guys is tips that it's always great to hire a professional photographer because they can do all the planning for you and they can ask you all the questions, all the right questions, and help you and just take that part out of the equation where you just have to concentrate on getting your hair done, makeup, and all that good stuff, right? But for right now, the tips I'm going to offer you are things that you can do by yourself with your phone. Okay, so you could actually, with your cell phone, you can do your branding section yourself until you're ready to hire a photographer to do all, these great things. Okay, so that's why I'm saying planning is really, really, really important. And then planning your scenes. Okay, so planning your location. And for that, you're planning, you're saying, okay, so you can get dolled up and do whatever it is. Behind the scenes are great. So for example, I'm going to talk to Eileen, right? So Eileen, you do your admin on call, you get in front of your computer and you read your message, a shot. Okay, so you have your tripod there, right? You can get a small tripod, just get your phone in there and take that shot. The time yourself, right? And then you can create that scene of you. People love behind the scenes because it gives them a peek at who you truly are. And as we know, people buy and people connect with people that they like. Okay, so if they know you personally, the loyalty will be there. So we have to make sure that we capture that behind the scenes and all of that good stuff, right? So you can be all dolled up and doing your emails and stuff like that, and you can just be all cute, Eileen, right? You're like, hey, do my emails, hey, right? Like, so for Kate, right? So for Kate, you say you were work with a bank.
Yeah, she said community federal, cooperative federal, and she did communications and marketing.
Correct.
Right. So then for you, Kate, it would be something like, you will get on your tripod and you would do your thing and you'll be like, okay, so you can take pictures of feet, right? Of people be like, okay, today, this is what I want to show. This is the message that I want to show. People coming in. We're a family. We're with you and all of that. So you create that scene with a message in mind. So that's where planning comes. Then you'll be like, okay, this is a message that I want to send, and this is a picture that's going to go with it. Because the pictures was going to make people stop to see it, right? So you plan your scenes that way. And lighting, right, is really, really, really important for it because lighting creates the mood, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on, for example, like Sarisa, your branding is just like nice and soft, beige, right? So it's like when people see beige or rose or anything like that, they're going to think about you, right? Anything about you right away.
Hopefully, whenever they see pink, they think Gypsy Freedom.
Right. So like rose pink, really that's that. And for example, for me, I'm bright. I'm super, super bright. All my colors are bright. So when I'm taking a picture, I'm bright and colors are bright or light and all of that good stuff. So that is how you have to plan your scenes with what you are, what your brand represents, and all of that good stuff.
So Anna, we keep mentioning this word branding session, branding photography session. Mm-hmm. What would you say are the key components of a branding session? Like what sets any other photo shoot? What makes that different what makes a branding session photo shoot different from any other normal photo shoot?
Right, great questions, Sarisa. So a normal photo shoot is, for example, I need a headshot. Right. I need a headshot for my business and we're going to change different tops and we're going to be in like one location, right? A branding session, we're going to cover your values. We're going to cover your products. We're going to cover the testimonials. We're going to cover like, it's a lifestyle. So we're going to cover you walking towards whatever it is you're going to do. So they're different. It's very dynamic, I want to say, instead of just like, okay, a shot, a group shot, headshot and things like that. So that's basically in my how I do photography is the main difference between the two.
And I think, what to me that sort of summarizes and brings up is three components, right? There's three components that you're really trying to capture out of your branding photography package, right? So I, for example, have of course, because I have a product-based business, I'm taking pictures all the time, right? But I have just a drive folder with branding, just like what I call stock photos that represent my brand in a folder. So for me, those, and based on what you just explained, Anna, it's your branding photos capture three things: your values, your personal values, and your business values, right? Your product or service in your audience.
Yes.
So yes, you will have to get some customers or two or some staged ones to have
Right.
people need to see what they're coming to your business for.
Right,
So if you're
right.
a restaurant, yes, certainly have some pictures of food, but definitely it's helpful to have some pictures of people eating the food, and their
Right, right.
response
Yeah.
to enjoying that food or drinking those cocktails or whatever. But then, like you said, in terms of living the values, it's also very helpful to have photography or video, you know what I mean? We're talking about branding photos right now, but it's great to have imagery that represents the values of your business. So say if you are a restaurant, and so you'll have probably a mixture of photos of food, you'll have a mixture of photos of customers, and then in terms of living the values, maybe if your restaurant is farm to table, maybe you'll have some photos of the farmers that you collaborate with to get food, or some of the raw ingredients, or maybe some of the chefs that you collaborate with, or some behind the scenes. So that sort of leads me to the other point. So we talked about audience, right? We talked about staging and thus planning your photo shoots. But that brings me to the third one, is having variety.
Yes.
So when it comes to your branding session, you definitely want to have a variety of scenes, a variety of locations, a variety of images that showcases several of your products, right? If you're a product-based business, or if you're a service-based business, you definitely want to showcase several scenes of you in the act of these services, and in many different types of customers that are reflective of your audience, right? So variety. What do you think about that, Anna? What advice would you have in terms of capturing variety?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely right. Capturing variety, because you're going to have different things. Like, for example, when me personally, I take a whole lot of pictures on my cell phone. My cell phone is it's my portal to the outside world, for real. So we have the cell phone. So I take a lot of different pictures for different things that I want to show. So it can get overwhelming having all of those pictures, right? So again, keeping in mind what we're going to use them for, that is really, really, really important, right? So I keep going back to that, because it really can get overwhelming. I have customers who I have photograph branding sessions, and then the pictures are amazing, but they're not using it because they don't know how to use them, or they are afraid of posting them. So I would say, once you get your shot, right? Once you get all the variety of, for example, Eileen is going to get a picture of herself walking towards a customer, her laptop typing. She's going to get pictures of, she always dresses nice. I'm saying this because I know Eileen. So Eileen over there, dressing all nice, right? So she's going to take pictures of her outfit going out. So variety. And with that, she can send her message out. For example, for Kate, if there's an event going on behind the scenes, if they have the mask, if they're doing things for the customers, that's going to be a shot, right? That's dipping into their values. They care about the community. They care about their customers. They care about their employees. That's going to send a message out in one picture, right? So you need to just plan all of those shots. And once you have them, don't be afraid of posting them. I mean, just don't be afraid. Even if you don't even get a like, people saw it. And that's all we want. We just want people to see it. And you want to have the variety. So that's
and even thinking about variety, that brings me to another point in terms of how you use this brand imagery that you have think of there are several mediums that you can use for these images. So you have your website, right? So your brand specific items. So your website, your print collateral, but then like Anna is mentioning, you also have your social media, which the world is so social these days. So you'll have all of the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the 102 apps that have come out that are photo based, right? But then there's also Google, right? So if you are, whether you are a product or service based business, you should certainly have images on your Google page, right? That that resonate with your branding. So there are several different ways that you can use your photos. And again, we're just talking about photos, but even if you have videos, there are several different ways to use them. There are paid ads, digital marketing campaigns you can do, that it all becomes helpful. But really what we're talking about is your brand tells a certain story, and it's what is the story that you want your brand to tell? What is the story that you're telling? And then these are just tools that you are using to tell that story. So there are several tools, right? You have yourself as a business owner, right? Like we are our business's tool, so to speak. But then I think you've got the collateral, you've got your imagery, right? As a tool. So that's just one tool in your toolbox that you use to communicate the story associated with your brand. So I think we should even be thinking in terms of variety. We should be thinking of a variety of ways that we could use these images that we're capturing.
Yep.
What are some places, I kind of actually want to go back to editing a little bit, because you mentioned like it can get really overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
You're very good at like capturing these moments or telling your story through photos. But when you have so many and you feel overwhelmed with this content, so what tips do you have in terms of editing and choosing which photo is more on brand versus another?
Right. I'm like so tempted to ask Kate and Eileen, like, what do you guys think so far? But okay.
And feel free, Kate and Eileen, to ask questions or jump in if you feel moved to do so. Never want to put anyone on the spot. Eileen, I think I saw a hand raised.
Yeah, I have a question. I want to go back to Anna, when you mentioned taking the photos of Brandon, and you mentioned testimonies. What would that look like?
Okay, that's an awesome question, Eileen. So, for example, if you get a testimony, even if it is, for example, a card, right? If you get a handwritten card, which is like so amazing, you can take a picture of that card. So you can take a picture. For example, this is your laptop. You can put the testimonial card on top of the laptop. Put a cup of coffee, whatever it is that represents you, right? Yeah, whatever it is that represents you, you take that and you like. Love it. My heart, I mean, like, it's true. When we get testimonials, especially handwritten notes, our hearts get so warm, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, right? And it's like, oh, that's such an amazing message, and it touches people. So if you get them on email, right? The only thing you have to do is to just screenshot on your phone, right? Protect their customer information, and then just do the same thing, right? Take a shot, right? If you can, because you have it on your laptop, or we usually have another phone. We have another phone for sure, right? So we can take a shot with the other phone on that. And then after that, you just like edit it, warm it up a little bit. However your branding is, right? You can edit it that way, and then you post it out. It's the same exact thing. So that's
okay.
Right? Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Right.
I like those ideas too.
And
Yeah.
in terms of editing, Anna, like we've got novices, right? The three of us, none of us are on this phone besides your beautiful self, our professional photographers. Would you have suggestions on like software that we could use in terms of editing our photos to be more on brand?
Right. So believe it or not, I'm going to speak because I have an iPhone. iPhone has really awesome editing capabilities, native. Okay, so it comes with it, and you can, when you take, I'm actually thinking about like just put in a real quick video showing you ladies like what I mean. But with the phone, you can go to settings and you can, first of all, just take HDR. And I'm going to show you what this is. And on a video, taking it off because that's soft and soft. All of you, we ladies want to be soft. I mean, like, right? Yes, we want to be soft. So,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So
I love that soft haze of glow whenever I
yes.
get a like professional photo shot done.
Right, right. And then the thing is that you can do this with your cell phone. You just have, for real, my ladies, like you can take your cell phone, have great lighting, find that location that in your house or outdoors that have the perfect lighting in your house. You just walk around with your phone and just look and see how the lighting changes as you go through your house. And that's how you find the perfect lighting in your house. And then you can just set the phone on a tripod. Tripods usually cost about $15 to $20 when they're like table tripods. And you can just put it there and just take that shot with a beautiful light. So after that, you just go to the settings, you edit your photo, and you're gonna get filters in there. You're gonna get a whole bunch of options that I will show you. I will do a little video for Wise so that I can show you guys what I mean. But that's basically it. If you want to take it farther, then you can go there. Thousands of apps out there for editing, but the one that I use is called Airbrush. And they have they're really Airbrush, and they have a free version, and the paid version is just really very cool. So but you can do a lot of editing, really nice editing with a free version of it.
Thanks for that. And I always like to, going back to your brand values and your audience in terms of picking photos. Like, so when you go to a photo shoot, your photographer is probably going to send you 1,000 pictures and say, pick your favorites, right?
Right.
In terms of picking your favorites, don't just think about you. Think also about your audience and what you think will relate, with your audience. So in terms of picking your favorite photos, try to pick, keeping the mix of variety, try to think about your audience and pick some that you think speaks to your audience more so than thinking about yourself. We have a couple of comments that came in that I would like to read before we get too deep into conversation. So one of them, Anna, do you have tips for angles in the direction of your lighting? How to position yourself toward the light?
Yes. Oh my gosh, what an amazing question. So definitely, okay. So I'm gonna get my phone right now, right? So we all know the up here, right? To show really nice curves, right? We know that. So we know that, but besides that, you have the phone, and this is a really, really advanced tip, but it's really easy, right? Get your video, right? Set yourself on video. And then in video, you are going to just position yourself, and you're going to move from side to side, and you're going to move your hands, right? And you're going to do this, right? You're going to but you're going to see yourself in video. Okay. So you're going to be looking at that, and that's how you find your angle, because you're going to see that video later and you're going to be, oh, I like that. And then you're like, okay. And then you take the picture, right? So that's the only thing you have to do. You get here, right? And regarding lighting, the window light is like the best, right? But you can walk around your house and you'll be surprised at the beautiful lighting that's around your house, right? So, and then outdoors, you can also do the same thing. But for the window, you go and then you move, right? You move, and the lighting is gonna move with you as you move the phone. So you're gonna go like this, and then you're like, oh, I like that. Stay there. Note the time, because the time, the lighting is gonna change depending on time. So you just know that time and be like, okay, for example, me at 3 p.m., I'm in front of that window taking pictures because I know. And then I go back at 6, and then I'm in front of that window too. And then you go and you do it. You find your angle by moving your body and recording yourself in video. That's how you're going to find your angle. So you take those pictures by yourself. And then when you are ready to hire a professional photographer to do the branding for you, it's going to be so much easier for both of you because you already know your angles. And then the photographer is also going to add to that. And it's going to be a beautiful branding session for you. So that's how you find your angle. Hopefully I answered that question.
I love that, Anna. And just to provide a little bit of other advice, I find that having, like, if the light is this way, having my camera so that the light is not behind me, more
Right.
so in front of me,
For sure.
really helps. Because if the light is behind me, then you get washed out, sort of like I am right now.
Right.
So like, even just like moving to a black, you know what I mean?
Right.
A darker. Or just
Right.
like what you're saying, like literally, like it's just a genuine difference depending on
Look at you changing that.
how you
Yeah.
We're
So
talking
that-
lighting.
that actually brings me to another point that I'd love to bring up is posing. So, because I find that this is where people really get like nervous with their brand photography. Is like,
Mhm.
I'm okay with like taking pictures of like my computer and like my notebook and stuff, but I don't want to be in these pictures, right? Like I hear that a lot, and it's like,
Mhm.
but you have to be, because
Right.
you are your business, right? So do you have posing tips that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, so posing tips again is about knowing your body. I mean, you have to know your body, and you have to know the side of your face. You have to know when your hair parts, which way it looks better, right? So you start small, right? You start small. You start with your face, because your face is your branding, unless you're selling shoes, and then you just taking pictures of your feet and stuff like that with shoes, right? So, but you just ladies, if you like finding your angle, just do video as record yourself on angle. So it's just like when we're taking pictures of our full bodies, right? We have to shape our bodies, right? We have to shape them. So let's say like I'm straight right now, right? But if I go like this, it's a different pose. If I go like this and I'm just shifting my body, right? I'm staying in the same position, but I'm just shifting my body, right? And I just go like this, hands, right? Or I go like this, right? There are like already I did like 5 poses, right? And then I go like this, right? I can go like, I'm in the same spot, right? But this comes with just looking at yourself. Literally, ladies, this is how I trained myself to be able to explain to my customers how to pose. So you just, in your video, you go there, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be uncomfortable at first, because you're gonna be judging yourself, and there are gonna be some angles that you're like, oh my gosh, what? But you just fast forward through those, and I promise you that you're going to find a pose that you love, and then you're gonna just go with it. Again, it's just shaping the body, right? So you're straight, it's one shot. You move to one side, it's one shot. You move to the other side, it's one shot. You put your head down and look up, it's another shot. And this is just your face, right? So when it comes to your body, it's the same thing. You shift your weight to one leg, you shift your weight to the other leg, right? That's it. And I'm gonna put a video out for you, ladies. I'm gonna put a video for you guys.
I'm looking
That would be
forward to this video, Anna.
Yeah.
So another thing I always like to remind people is every time you hear the shutter of a photographer's camera, you are not supposed to be standing still. You should be moving and giving your camera, you should be having a conversation with that camera. So giving your camera some variety, unless your photographer tells you to stop because she wants you to rest in a pose. But I always find, like you said, shifting, even just like literally changing your face, in the same pose, literally provides a different energy. I also found helpful for me looking at magazines so that are related to my business. So again, if you own a restaurant or a hair salon, maybe you look at other businesses that have really, that do very well with their brand photography, and try to take a look at some of the photos and poses that they do, some of the staging that they do, and then you can replicate that. For me, I do a lot of like fashion photography, and since I own a retail store, I tend to try to look like some of these models. So I find it helpful to like look in magazines and like study, poses, and then try to recreate them myself. And then another quick tip before I get to some questions, get in that mirror. It really, really helps. Get in your mirror, full length, look at faces, facial expressions, movements, all of the things, and you will find what feels and looks comfortable for you. So we did see a couple questions, Anna, that I wanted to get to before we got too far off. What do you think about the little inexpensive ring lights that you can clip onto your cell phone? I think they're awesome. I use
They
them all the
are
time.
amazing. They're amazing. They're great and you can adjust this lighting on some of them, but on your phone you can adjust the, you know, like whether you want it hotter or depending on what the mood of the picture that you're taking is. It's just great. You're gonna love it. Yes, like yes, lighting is great. Yeah.
Yes, I find them helpful. Even getting the tripod stands with the ring light attached is
Yep.
very helpful, because again, what it's doing is it's putting the light behind your camera
Mhm.
in front of your face, so that you can, you know, get that nice blast of lighting. So
Yeah, and the thing
on-
that I find with that though is like, for example, me, I cannot use the ring light because I use glasses. So the ring
Mhm.
light, you know, it creates this halo effect that it's just distracting. So if you have glasses, if you wear glasses and you want to invest in lighting, get the ones that are rectangular, which they're also, I want to say $30 and above. And I'm gonna look it up when I do the video for you guys. I'm gonna suggest some of these lightings that I'm talking about. But if you wear glasses and, you know, even if you have them anti-reflectant, the ring light is gonna show. So
Mhm.
having just a rectangular one that just illuminates your face entirely is a better option in my opinion if you wear glasses. So
That is so helpful, Anna.
Mhm.
Thanks for sharing that. Did
Yep.
not even consider that. So
Mhm.
that's so helpful. So another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of branding is consistency. So let's talk about that a little bit, Anna. So staying consistent to your brand, right, in terms of capturing your brand photography. So that also means colors. You know, like if your brand has certain brand colors, it doesn't mean that every photo has to have that brand color in there. But to me, that means you should have some component of that color as a consistent, you know, thread throughout all of your photos, right? So it in the medium that you're using. So if we're saying, if you're using your website, some higher percentage of your photos on your website should have your branding colors in there,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
If we're saying your Instagram feed, right? Our Instagram feeds these days look like literal catalogs for your business.
Yep.
So they should absolutely have periodically pops of your brand colors throughout.
Mhm.
So what do you have some tips on that, Anna, staying consistent, not just with brand colors, but also with messaging, and even photography style, and like using consistent filters and things like that?
Yeah, so that's yeah, Teresa, you're absolutely right. When you're taking your pictures, you consider not only your colors, because for example, if you take a shot, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Canva, right? But Canva has a free
Mhm.
service that you can take your shot, right? For example, you can have, if my colors are red and blue and just pink, and you guys can see in the back, I'm like red, blue. So I sometimes just have, for example, white, but the background of the Instagram post I'm gonna have might be pink, or it might be blue, or the text might be blue. So like Sarisa just said, having some colors that represents your brand, not necessarily like you have to be like all your brand colors, but having colors that remind people of your brand. Because what happens is that when they relate that color, whenever they see subliminally, right? Subconsciously, whenever they see that color, they're going to think of you. Like subconsciously, they will think of you for sure. So having that consistency and sending that message every single time you post a picture is going to help with retention and in your brand
Mhm.
loyalty. So that's really important. And another thing that I was going to say is that, for example, now we do a lot of posting where we extract the background. So when you're taking a picture, just make sure that the background is as plain as possible. Keeping in mind that you're going to extract the background, and then you can then add a background color to it or text, and it will be easier, it will be different, and you can have a lot of fun with it too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, extracting the background is a new feature I see a lot of people doing,
Yep.
especially in like flat lay type photos.
Mhm.
A tip for that is make sure that your background is a stark different color from the photo, from whatever the object that you are photographing. So for example, currently my hair is like the same color as
Right,
this
right.
wall behind me. So
Right.
if I wanted to take this as a picture and extract the background, you won't see the top of my head. But like I said, turn now a stark difference in color will be easier to extract or something like that.
For
So
sure. That's
computers
like
are
great.
smart, but they're not that smart. So
Right.
definitely, help your computer out.
Right, right. I mean, that's going to be an advanced feature if you get it that way. Like, you're going to have to do some major editing to get that hair back. But yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So I love it. Like, so I just want to rewind to the beginning of our conversation and just cover some of the 5 steps we went through. The first was audience, right? So know your audience, create scenes in your brand photography that will relate to your audience. Think of having a conversation, right, with your customers in your audience. Stage your environment. So when you pick out a location or a room or wherever you're going to do this, think about, those scenes that you're thinking of and prepare the photo shoot by staging that room and that place. We talked about posing and gave you ladies some tips on how to capture variety in your shoots by just changing little things like your body posture, your facial expression, things like that. And we talked about variety, making sure you have a variety of scenes, right? And we talked about like the key components of your branding session is capturing your values, right? Your personal values and your brand values and how you live those values, capturing your product or service and capturing your audience. So you want a variety of scenes showing all of those things, right?
Right.
And then consistency. So making sure that your imagery is up to date and consistently up to date, making sure that you're sharing consistently, right? So when we say sharing, usually most commonly we're thinking about Instagram and all of those things. And the key with that is just being consistent. It doesn't mean that you have to share every day or even 3 times a day. It's just whatever you choose to do, you have to be consistent in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to say, remember your brand is a story and you're telling a story, and imagery is just one component of how you tell that story, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So Anna, I want to leave it open for some Q&A. From our audience here and any questions we might have had in our Facebook comments as well. Of course, we've also been taking them as we go.
Yeah, and I have while you look through that, sorry, that one, I don't know, Kate or Eileen, do you ladies have, and for you in the audience also, do you do blogs? Because blogs is also for photography, that will give you more of an idea of what, okay, I'm gonna write this, so what kind of a picture do I want to have for this? And for example, like if, for example, you, Eileen, you're talking about for how important timing is, you can take a picture of your hands with a clock in the background or something like that. Or the door opening because you're going out to a customer and stuff like that, right? And then you write about the importance of being on time because you're on the call, right? You're like,
Right.
I'm on call. So you can take a picture of that. So for example, for Kate will be the same thing if her organization believes it does blogs as well. It could be like, okay, today we have this, and the importance of getting your stuff ready and have those pictures. So having that in mind for a blog, and even if you don't have a blog, but having answering that question will also help you get the shots that you want. And again, you can do this with your phone because branding photography is amazing. You're going to get amazing pictures, especially if you choose a photographer that resonates with your values, with your brand, and the energy of your organization. You're going to get great. But you can hire a photographer every single day to capture your day. So this is where you come in with your phone, and then you just take those shots. And asking those questions, what do I want to send out? What do I want to write? If I was going to write about this specific thing, what would I write about? And then that will give you the shot that you need to get. So I just wanted to put that out there for you, ladies.
Yeah. What about Did we have a question? I didn't
Thank
want
you.
to-
That's great advice.
What
Yeah.
about Anna? We talked about if you have too many photos and you know how to edit those and choose your favorites. Let's talk a little bit about what to do with these pictures, right?
Okay.
What about when you have outdated photos? Because especially if you've invested in a branding session maybe 5 years ago, right? And this
Right.
quote unquote outdated. So
Right,
some
right.
of the products or services you were photographing are no longer featured. Do you think that those photos are still usable, and what suggestions do you have on how to use those?
Right. So I'm a hugger, people. I hug all my pictures. I have them all. Like I take pictures and it's hard for me. I have been like doing better and I'm deleting, but but your old pictures, there's a thing called Throwback Thursday. So you can definitely use your old pictures and you can have so much fun with it. I remember when this was my packaging. Look at how, like I have, changed it. I loved it. And you can have a story about it. People can see where you were specific time and where you are now and how things have evolved, and they're going to resonate with you with that. So definitely, I think pictures always tell a story, always, no matter what. So yes, you can definitely use them.
I love that mention of Throwback Thursday and Flashback Friday,
Yeah.
because you're right. Like
Mhm.
your customers, your audience are plugged into you and your brand and your business and your growth. So they absolutely want to see what your package looked like, 10 years ago, especially if they've been with you along the ride, so I think that's so awesome, Anna. I am literally stealing that tip. So thank you.
You're so
for
welcome.
sharing that.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about mediums, because you mentioned blogs.
Mhm.
We've been talking a lot about social media. What are some other ways that people can use these images that they're capturing?
Yeah, so it depends. For example, if you send Christmas cards, or if you send a newsletter, an email newsletter, or basic on your story. Right now everything is online, but sending a card, like a thank you card, handwritten, will just set you apart so greatly. So you can use those pictures to send them out, right? To send a card, to send things like that. So that's one way, to.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I have something called a one sheet. It's something that you'll see, I would say, like, I don't want to say celebrities, but public figures usually have them, and it's very helpful. It's like a summary of your business and your brand on one sheet, right?
Mm.
So think of it as like a trifold, literally on one 8.5 by 11 page document. And it summarizes like what your business is, what your audience is, key metrics that are relevant to your industry and your business. So that is also a great thing to have imagery attached to. I find it very helpful for press, like if you get press requests or collaboration requests, to just say like, oh, here's a nice summary of my business, on the one page. So that I find as another fun way to use your images. We talked a little bit about digital advertisements, but also print advertisements, right? So in magazines, billboards, that kind of thing. And then of course your print collateral. So like if you have gift cards or things that you are doing promotions on, it's really nice to attach some imagery to that and then use that as print collateral that you can hand out to other local businesses and other customers in the area. Yeah,
for sure. Yep. Yeah, for sure. And then it's like I challenge you, all of you, my ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, to just write down what it is that like your brand colors. Just like really sit down and think about this, because sometimes we think that we know our brand, but asking questions, or even asking your friends, hey, when you think of my brand, what comes to mind? And their answer is the message that you're sending out. So if it's not it doesn't align with what they're sending out, then you go back to your, and then you ask your question, what do I want to do? And it's okay to rebrand, but you have to just think about how you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it this time. If the message doesn't align with what you're trying to send out, that's going to be, now this is what they're perceiving from me, and this is the message that I want to send. Write it down and then plan it, and just go for it. Check out, like, think about what mood do you want your brand to have. And by mood, I mean lighting. Do you want the lighting to be crisp light? Do you want it to be kind of a little bit dull? Do you want it to be kind of like black and white? Do you want it to be really vibrant? So you have to answer your questions like that. And once you have that, just make sure that everything that you put out is consistent to that. And once you have it, it's going to be, you're going to get excited about it. You're going to get excited about posting those pictures, all those pictures that you have that you haven't used. If you do, you're going to be excited about posting them, because now you know what message you want to send out. So it's so important to know that, so that you can then just like, yes, I'm going for it. I challenge you guys to just ask your friends and ask your family, when you see my brand, what do you think about? Like, what do you think about? What comes to mind? So that's your homework for me.
Yeah, I love that. And again, if you are just joining, we are closing out an awesome conversation that we had with Anna Hill Taylor with the Wise Women's Business Center here in Syracuse, New York, where we provide one-on-one coaching for free to women business owners in the area. So, you know, we help you with things like branding, photography, not us taking the pictures, but helping you think through your next branding photography session, whether, you know, what type of scenes you might want to capture, and then also what to do with those photos and things. So that's an awesome talking point to bring to one of your business coaches as well.
I just realized, everybody, I just realized that my name in here is officially unofficial. I apologize, 100. I just realized that, but my name is Anna Gill, right? Anna Hill. So it's that's where you can find me if you want to look for me. If you want to look for the video that I'm going to put out, is Anna Hill Photography. So it's Anna Gill, Gil Photography, and I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. So just that's how you can find me. I was Taylor, so you were right, Sarisa. I was Gil Taylor. So you're good.
I know.
I was just like, looking. I'm like, oh no!
It's bringing me back in my olden days from when I knew you back in the day.
Right.
So
you're doing
Anna,
a throwback Monday. I mean,
yeah. Throwback Thursday. Can you tell us where our ladies can find you on Instagram and Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook, I'm Anna Gill Photography, as well as on Instagram, it's Anna Gill Photography. So yeah, so you can find me there.
We'll put that in the comments as well. So
yes.
So again, I'm Sarisa Richardson, business coach at Wise Women's Business Center, where we're proud to be providing the free one-on-one business coaching. You can reach out to us right at the Wise Women's Business Center. You can call or email us directly. And again, that information will be in the comments as well. Any closing parting words, Anna? This was such a phenomenal session. I took so many notes. I can't wait to use these.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So no, basically it's that. Just ask yourself the question about the message that you want to send, and just be with your values, because your values is what's going to get people loyalty to you. I mean, it's like I do believe that audience retention, when you tap into values and audience loyalty will be higher if you do that. So I honestly believe that. So just make sure that you have those straight, that if people see you on the street or online or whatever, they will know you just by the pictures, just by your posting. They will know your values by that. And you wouldn't even have to even write it down. It would just be like, oh yeah, she believes in that, or he believes in that, based on your pictures. So just that message, if anything, I will say just ask yourself that question, ask other people, because you know that we might be thinking that we are sending a specific message and it's being perceived differently. So asking the question to your friends, to your family, it will be such an awakening for real when you hear their answers.
Yeah, so true. So true. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today. Thank you, Eileen and Kate, for being a part of our Zoom call. And thank you to everyone who is watching us live on Facebook. Again, this is our Power Hour for the Wise Women's Business Center, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.